Welcome to Aspect Sports, everybody. This is going to be our second episode into our 32 team breakdown. I'm the commish.
I'm G.
And again, we're going to just go down through our breakdown here. Thanks, everybody, for watching our Super Bowl episode and for watching the last Tennessee Titans episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about everything. Let us know if there's anything you agree with, anything you disagree with. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We're all under Aspect Sports. And again, thanks so much. We're going to get right into it here. We're going to get into the Cleveland Browns. First, we're going to start with their cap space and draft picks. They're negative 30 million, so they're over the cap by 30 million, which is crazy to think of a team with the second draft or the second overall pick being 30 million over the cap. Usually that's not a thing. Usually bad teams have a lot of cap space because there's not good players there. But when you have Deshaun Watson eating up a bunch of your cap space.
First trade in history.
Yeah, everybody gave the Panthers so much crap for as bad as our trade was to get Bryce Young and everything. But, that's not looking that bad.
That's definitely not as bad as Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that was terrible. And giving him that contract and everything, just terrible. So, that's a big part of it. We're going to get into more of a breakdown, obviously, of like all these different players and everything, but they also have 39 million in dead cap.
Which is crazy.
It's just that's pretty much all they're over the cap. If they didn't have that dead cap space, they'd be a little bit under at least. But and they have to sign their rookies. Rookies cost about $7 million for like the normal draft class. So they're gonna have to do a lot of work. I've heard a lot of different things, and we're going to get into that later on too as we talk about the draft, as we talk about free agency, as we talk about these players. We're going to get into more of that. But again, they have 12 total draft picks. They have the second overall pick. They have 2 picks in the third round. And let's see here. They have 3 picks, 4, 5 picks in the 6th round. So they're probably going to be looking to get rid of some of those because those aren't going to help very much. And we'll get into that more again as we go over the draft. But that's just a general breakdown of what they have available here. Next, we're going to get into the coaches and GMs here. And their GM is Andrew Berry. He's also the executive VP of football operations. He was named the GM in 2020. He was with Cleveland in various different roles before being named the GM. And he spent 7 seasons with the Colts from 2009 to 2015 in various scouting roles. And all the way up to pro scouting coordinator. So this guy knows what he's doing. I mean, he's made some good draft picks. We're going to see that as we go through this team breakdown, but that's a great executive to have in a good place. Having a good GM is so crucial to it. And yeah, it may not have worked out so great this year, but again, a lot of that goes to Deshaun Watson, and we'll get into that more later because there's so much more to him than just something that we can go over so briefly. But having Andrew Berry in place is a good place to start.
When did they get Deshaun Watson? When was that trade?
That trade was 2022. And then he signed the 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract. And he's never played a full season with them. So it's just not a good situation. But again, having a good GM, having a good head coach, Kevin Stefanski was named the head coach in 2020 after being with the Vikings from 2006 to 2019. He was their offensive coordinator, and he looked great as their offensive coordinator, and he's looked great as their head coach. Having him has really been, I think, a big change for the Browns. They don't look so terrible. As bad as they were fighting out there. They didn't give up. He doesn't seem to have lost the locker room. Yeah, Myles Garrett is now asked for a trade, but he doesn't seem there's nothing else to suggest that he isn't a good coach. He's won the coach of the year 2 times, in 2020 in his first year, and then in 2023 when Joe Flacco took them to the playoffs. I mean, he's been in the playoffs 2 times.
I got questions still about the GM. I don't know that, you said he's good, but I don't know. He was part of that Deshaun Watson.
He was part of that Deshaun Watson thing. I mean, but we understand the reason why they did it then. He had his legal issues, and that's a huge part of it. But besides that, he was looking like he was going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league for the next 10 years. He was looking like he was going to be great.
I never liked that trade.
I didn't either, and the Panthers tried to do it too, and I was like, it was just weird.
You're gonna make that trade? He was already suspended, wasn't he?
I don't think he ever got suspended in that first year. I think they just had him sit out for the whole year.
He had the allegations against him.
Yeah, I think he just sat down for the whole year. They paid him for like the whole year and everything, and then they traded him to Cleveland.
Yeah, well,
and then he got officially
to me,
suspended.
that's a bad GM.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm more looking at like the scouting aspect of it. He obviously needs to work on that stuff, but like college scouting, he's done a great job. Like he's brought in a lot of really good pieces there. He drafted Myles Garrett, didn't he?
Yeah, I know. He's brought it. Yeah, I'll give him that. He's brought in a lot of good people. That side's good.
I know Myles Garrett was drafted in 2017, but he was part of that front office that brought him in. He was part of some scouting that did that. And same thing with Denzel Ward in 2018. Yeah, kind of seems like it. I mean, they traded for Jerry Jeudy. That was a good trade.
Yeah, that was a fair trade, but like,
yeah,
man, you have literally one of the worst trades in NFL history, and then a guaranteed contract, and literally Cleveland's in the spot they're in because of this GM, and that, I mean, the worst trade in history. You can't have that and continue to be a GM.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I
ain't got nothing. Kevin's okay. I mean, Kevin's done his thing. I mean,
two-time
he's
coach
worked
of the
with
year.
what he's got, and he's done a really good job, I think. And he hasn't had Deshaun Watson because he keeps getting hurt too.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done it with Joe Flacco. He's done it with Jameis Winston this year. He's done with a lot of guys. So, I mean, I think he definitely deserves those coach of the years, and he's a good coach. And having that a guy to kind of coach or to captain your ship is huge. So having him in place is great. Their offensive coordinator is now Tommy Rees. He's in his first year with Cleveland. He started as the tight end and passing game specialist, and he's now also listed as the OC on their team site. He was Alabama's offensive coordinator in 2023 and coached with Notre Dame for 6 years. He was a quarterback at Notre Dame. He played 2 years in the NFL. His offensive rankings per yard for Cleveland was 28th in the league, good for 300.8 yards per game, and 32nd in the league in points per game at 15.2. Their PFF offensive ranking was 32. So Tommy's got a lot to work with, or well, not a lot to work with, and a lot to work on. They really need to figure out that quarterback situation. And I mean, there's opportunity they can do that. They're not going to sign anyone. They can't. I mean, you can't sign anyone with a big contract? They couldn't go after Sam Darnold because he's going to want too much money. Like they're going to have to draft someone. And I mean, luckily they have the number 2 overall pick. They could draft, Shadur or Cam Ward. But I mean, because Deshaun, he ruptured his Achilles twice. He's not coming back next year. There's no way. So you got one full year that he's gone now, and you just have to and you're just hamstringed by his thing. So Tommy,
he better come back for the sake of the Cleveland Browns because they done paid him all this damn money. He better try his best to get back on that field and at least do something to make it right. Because right now, I mean, they booed him when he got hurt. I mean, they don't like him.
I mean, because they're paying him all this money and he's never played a full season there.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything. They're paying him all this money, and it's news
headlines.
Yeah,
that's all he's done.
So I don't know, Tommy. You got a lot to do, man. I wish you the best. I mean, Nick Chubb coming back will be a big addition. He came back this last year, but having a whole year return from injury. I mean, he's a free agent too, though, so he might not even come back. I mean, he probably will.
Done, dude.
Nah, I've heard good things, man.
Those knees are done.
I've heard good things. I've heard that after having a year off, they expect that he'll be right back. But we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back. He's a favorite. They got Jerome Ford, who I believe is a free agent as well. Let me just double check.
Do you think? You really think he's going to come back?
Nick Chubb? I think so. Just because he's been with Cleveland, they drafted him and everything.
I mean, afford to pay him.
No, if he signs for like a veteran minimum or something. No. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be curious.
Nick Chubb, go somewhere else, man. You gotta go somewhere else right now.
Yeah,
and I don't blame you.
So Tommy, luckily they got a lot of draft picks. They need to just fully rebuild and trade Myles Garrett and get a first round pick. Get something good.
Get rid of the contract.
Yeah, because you need to, and that goes into
Jim's long game now.
Absolutely, and that goes into their D coordinator, Jim Schwartz, who, we've heard about him for a long time. Yeah, he was a head coach for the Lions. He came back to be the DC in Cleveland in 2023. He was a pro and college scout for the Browns in 93 to 95. He was named the 2023 Assistant Coach of the Year, the first year he came back. He has 16 years as a D coordinator in the NFL. He won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. The list goes on.
Coordinator.
He's a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah, every defense he's ever had has been good.
Absolutely. I mean, this year, not amazing, not bad. Again, it's a tough year though. It's hard to be a good defense when your offense is so terrible. Their defensive yards per game was 19th at 342.1 average per game. Points per game was 27th at 25.6 per game. So, I mean, not great, but their defense did rank 8th overall on PFF. So, like, they're doing the right things. But it's, again, when your team's just throwing interceptions and giving up points. I mean, because a lot of those points, like Jameis Winston didn't throw any pick sixes, but I think Deshaun threw a couple. I think Dorian Finney-Smith threw a couple. I think these guys threw pick sixes, which adds to the points per game. I mean, because that's points against you. That's all that goes to. We don't really realize that aspect of it, that all goes against their points per game, which was 27th. And it's like, hard to not allow a touchdown or even a field goal when they start at the 30 because you threw an interception. Yeah. Or you fumbled. So I mean, he has work to do, but I don't know. They're going to lose Myles Garrett, which is a big blow.
That's going to be huge.
So
that's a game changer. I mean, they were still 8th, Brent. I mean, they were 8th in defense overall.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. The losing Myles Garrett's going to be a huge blow, and it'll be interesting to see how Jim Schwartz does that.
And they already lost to Darius Smith earlier, so.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not a lot there on the D line. So they're really going to need to, and I mean, getting a first round pick for Myles Garrett is going to be what you need to get a first round pick this year. You need to get a first round pick next year, at least 2, and then probably like a third or something like that. Because you're getting rid of a player that's like in his prime and has plenty of time left. We talked about that more on our NFL Rumors episode that's going to drop before this one. And you should check that out if you want to hear a little bit more breakdown there. But I mean, it's crazy. He's going to lose a big piece. And the defense is set up. Yeah, I mean, there's pieces on the defense. I mean, obviously Myles Garrett's good. You got Shelby Harris, their D tackle. I know, but still, and like there's pieces there. Denzel Ward, he didn't rank great in PFF, but like he's a good cornerback. Grant Delpit is a solid safety. Juwan Thornhill is a solid safety. Again, they didn't rank good in PFF, but it's hard. But their linebackers are great, 11th, 9th. So you got that. Like he's got pieces there. Offense. There's nothing there. It's bad.
Offense.
Their best ranked player on offense
Jeudy.
was their center, Jerry Jeudy. No, their best ranked player was their center. What's his name? Pachick. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but yeah, he was ranked 24th. Jerry Jeudy is their highest rated player at 73.5 on offense, but he was still only good for 38th out of all receivers. So I mean,
it's not good.
Yeah. David Njoku, solid tight end.
He's good.
Yeah,
but he's probably a little underrated. But I mean, when you don't have a quarterback going to him, what are you supposed to do?
Absolutely. And special teams, it's kind of an afterthought, but you need to have a good special teams too. And the special teams coach for the Browns is Bubba Ventrone. He's also their assistant head coach, so they obviously think pretty high of him to be the assistant head coach. Usually a lot of times the special teams coordinators are, because they kind of have to know what everything's doing on both sides of the ball. So being an assistant head coach is really beneficial to their day-to-day. I've heard that a lot. He's been with them since 23 as a coach. He played with the Browns from 2009 to 2012. He was also the Colts special team coordinator from 2018 to 2022. Their special teams ranked great. They ranked 4th in Pro Football Focus special teams. So, I mean, phenomenal. There's things in place. The offense is a total dumpster fire besides Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, and Ethan Pokic. But everybody else you need to get rid of. And they, again, Tommy Rees, we wish you the best of luck, buddy. It's going to be a rough sledding for sure.
A long road. Road.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah. Got nothing to work with. You're not going to be good. I mean, now get it. He might, later when we get into draft picks, I mean, he might have something to work with later. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, we'll see. They got at least a lot of draft picks, so they can take a lot of shots, and they're going to get more with Myles Garrett leaving. So, you know, and that's the right move to do at this point. You need to rebuild. You need to shed salary. You need to get under the salary cap. You need to get rid of guys that aren't going to be here that don't want to be here for the long haul. And I mean, I don't blame Myles Garrett at all. You know, it's understandable, dude. Like you're kind of nearing the end of your career. You're in your prime. You need to go try and win a Super Bowl. Get it. Totally.
He's gave Cleveland everything he can. I mean,
100%.
He done stuck with Cleveland through all of it. Like you know, if I'm a Cleveland fan, you know, I mean, it's like Matthew Stafford. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. Like, I don't blame you. You don't want to sit through another rebuild. I mean, you're getting older. I don't blame you. You know, they should be they should be happy for him. You know, obviously, hopefully he goes out of the division.
Well, and let us know what you think, Browns fans. You know, are you happy to see him go, or not happy to see him go because you're losing such a great one? But can you appreciate it? Can you appreciate it, or are you just like, no, fuck that guy. We don't want to talk about him. We're burning his jerseys after this season. It's going to really affect this team in a lot of different ways. I mean, they already ranked 32nd in turnover differential. They had 12 total takeaways, which isn't a lot. They only had 4 interceptions and 8 fumble recoveries. Total giveaways is what really killed them. 34 giveaways, good for 23 interceptions and 11 fumbles lost. Crazy. That's a lot of fumbles.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
You can't win like that.
So yeah, that offense needs, I mean, that goes back on the offense. They need to clean it up.
34.
They need to clean it up. And so, you know, leading into that, we're going to get into kind of the big parts of the team and why this offense didn't work. For our players of note, we're going to get into Jameis Winston first because he led the team in passing yards. He had 2,121 yards, good for a 61% completion rating, 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, which is a perfect Jameis ratio. I don't know if you remember, but one season he had the same amount of interceptions as he did touchdowns. It was like 34 or something, pretty crazy. So he's right there. Good job, Jameis. We love Jameis, though. You know, he's that just energy dude. He loves everything about football.
Yeah, good personality.
Absolutely.
But, you know, he's got Will Levis numbers.
Yeah. 76 yards per game. He played in 12 games. He is going to be a free agent. He only signed he is a free agent. He only signed a 1-year deal with Cleveland. His overall PFF grade was 31st out of 75 qualified quarterbacks. So, you know, he was second to last in the NFL. Is like, you know, if you just put all 32, separate that. So, yeah, I mean, not great. Yeah, 12 games, you know, and he's in the Jameis zone. That's what he does. 2,000 yards, 61% completion, 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. It's Jameis stat. And
hey, they're not bad. They're not bad backup numbers.
Absolutely not. Anyone would love to have him as a backup. And I heard on a podcast he said that he wants to be on pardon my take. He said he wants to be a starter, and I don't blame him. I don't know if he'll be a starter. I don't think that anyone would bring him in as a starter. Do I think he could do it? Sure, I think he could do it. He got LASIK, so he can actually see now. He's a solid quarterback. I think he could do like a Sam Darnold thing. You know, you surround him with a good enough team, and I think he could actually be solid. I mean, and that'd be interesting to see him maybe go to the Jets. They have some weapons there, you know. I think he would be a very interesting option for them. We'll see. I don't know. I'm curious to see where he goes.
What about Miami?
Yeah, he could be a backup for Miami. Tua keeps getting hurt. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I mean, he could go back to the Browns. They, you know, bring him in for like a smaller contract or something like that. Like, hey, you already know the offense. Deshaun's going to be out for the season. We want something that's kind of a little bit more steady. Will you take a little bit less money and we'll give you a couple years longer, you know, like stay here for a few years. And
they're going to draft one, so he won't get no playing time.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
If he wants to start.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. And then
I don't see him as a starting quarterback, though.
I don't really either. I mean, I'm
trying to think of a team that
do
he
it.
You know, like what? All right, where could he go right now and play? And I really
the
can't
Giants
think of somewhere where he. Yeah,
either New York
the Jets.
team would be
I don't know. We'll
interesting.
see. But yeah, the Jets maybe.
The Giants have a little bit better of a team overall, but
you know how mad Giants fans would be if they went out and got Jameis Winston to be there?
Probably pretty mad, dude. I mean, they're like, man, we just had Daniel Jones and now we got Jameis Winston.
Yeah, here we go. Hopes are high, guys.
Yeah, hopes are high. Yeah. Well, going to the next player that we got here, we got Deshaun Watson again. We've been over him a million times already so far, just because there's so much. It's just Yeah, he's probably going to miss this next year. He did rework his deal at the end of this last season in December of 2024 to add 2 void years to spread out his dead. So basically, to spread out his dead cap hit when or if he gets released. His cap hit though for the next 2 years is $72.9 million. So yeah, I don't think he's going to really get cut because that's just going to be crazy. He's only played 19 games. Yeah.
You can't,
but
you can't pay somebody that money and cut him.
It's kind of like just cut your losses.
You keep him, but you might use him. At least run him into the dirt. I don't know.
He's already ran into the dirt. He's only played 19 games with them. I mean, his overall PFF grade is
win you one game. You can't let him go play for somebody else or let him go home.
He makes Will Levis look good. His 63.1 PFF grade, good for 51st out of 75 qualified quarter. 51st. He's only played a total of 19 games. It's just ridiculous. He finished the year on injured reserve again. He ruptured his Achilles twice. He's probably not even playing this next year at all. Even if he does, he's going to be out there in a wheelchair because he can't walk.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not ever going to be the same.
Yeah, but, you rupture your Achilles twice, the same one?
You can't cut ties though. He has to stay on the team because you're paying him. You're paying him so much money, man.
It's such a terrible situation. They just really fucked that up. That whole everything about it.
You're paying him $72 million no matter what.
Yeah, 100% guaranteed.
At least make him earn it. Damn it! At least make him run in practice. I mean,
yeah, be out there. It's cold in Cleveland sometimes. Have him go stand out in the snow. He could be a living snowman.
They need to find something to void their contract. You know, I mean, I'm sure he's done something.
There is, I've heard that there is something that, like, if he gets like something to do anything bad, basically they can void it. But he's just sitting at home because he knows he's just collecting his $72 million, and then he's gonna just retire at that point. Like, why not? No one's gonna sign you, so he needs to go.
Hey, nobody's picking him up. They ain't gonna pay you, that's for sure. They might pick you up for like. You know, you might have to play for free for 2 years.
Yeah, we might see Deshaun later on in this episode again because he just, he's not good. And Nick Chubb, we talked about him a little bit too. It's, his terrible knee injury he suffered in the 2023 season. He only played 8 games and logged 102 carries this year. Good for 3.3 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. Added 31 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. He was originally drafted in 2018. And it's crazy, man. I mean, the drop off from that injury, it's so sad because Nick Chubb, amazing running back. He's averaged 5 yards per carry or better every year of his career except for this last year. Even last year when he got hurt, he still finished the season average over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, and again, we talked about it. He's a free agent. It'll be really interesting to see where he goes because, like, if his medical checks out and he can get back to anywhere close to that 5.5 yards a carry, like, man, maybe the Panthers take a chance on him. He would be a great backup to Chuba. That way he doesn't have to be the guy carrying everything. He can come back from his injury. Like this year, he wasn't hurt this year. They brought him along slow. He only had 100 carries. 3.3 yards isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible for a guy that's coming back off a horrific knee injury that they said you would never play again in. Like, now he has a whole year removed from that. He'll be in a whole new offseason. He'll get to rehab. He'll get to work that strength back up. He'll get to get back into 100% shape. But I think that the best place for him to go would be somewhere where he can be a split time guy. Even if your knee is better, there's still a chance that it could go out again. It can get fucked up. So why not take the chance and get back up?
You need somebody else to split the load so you're not, because that knee's still damaged no matter what. I know he's back, but like he still has a better chance of getting hurt again, versus somebody else. So you got to have somebody that's going to carry the load and, he goes in and does third downs or, something like that. And, still gets, maybe they do like we do in Detroit where, you switch off possessions and then you go off the field. You need to be in a system like that where they're actually going to, where they take care of you and, and hopefully you can have a few more years. Yeah, Carolina.
Sign him to a 1-year deal. Prove to me that you can stay healthy and that you're back, and you'll sign a huge contract after that.
He's definitely going to have to sign a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah, sign a 1-year prove-it deal, split time with Chuba Hubbard. Jonathan Brooks isn't going to be back. It would be a good situation for you. We're not expecting you to carry the load. You'd be a great compliment to Chuba. Why not? And then that way we don't have to draft a running back either. I mean, maybe we do still, but at the same time, I don't think we do that. It saves us from having to draft a running back since we spent a second round pick on Jonathan Brooks. So come to Carolina, man. I mean, I say this after a lot of guys, but I mean, there's hope. There's a lot of hope for us, you know. We'll get into them more once we go over the Panthers episode and everything. And I'm excited for that one. It's going to be too long, but
if I'm saying anything, I think you should go to Washington.
That'd be interesting. I mean, but Austin Eckler's there and Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have to do much, but I don't think he wants to go and be like in a three-headed monster situation. I think he wants to go somewhere where it's just him and another guy. I think that'd be the perfect setup.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, I feel like he could squeeze in there. He's better than Austin Eckler.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Austin
Eckler
catches the ball out of the background a little bit, though. That's true. I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, the Browns don't have
I'm just
nothing
thinking,
at running back though, besides him.
I mean, if I'm Chuba Hubbard, you know, I mean, if I'm Nick Chubbs, I would want to win a championship, and your window is definitely smaller than anybody else's because of how many injuries you've had.
Yeah.
So, you know, go to a playoff team and you can do something.
What about the Bills? The Bills would be an interesting compliment too, because they have James Cook. You know, he's a good running back, and then him backing him up wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
And you know, I like that. Josh Allen just won his MVP, and you know, well, yeah. So that'll be interesting.
I think that's a good spot.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He's a legend in Cleveland. They love him. You know, 5 yards of carry every year is pretty insane. So we'll see what happens. They're not completely barren at the running back position, though. They did have Jerome Ford, our next player here. He led the team in rushing yards with only 565 carries. Or I mean, 565 yards. He had 104 carries. Good for 5.4 yards a carry. Really good. I mean, super solid. Only 3 touchdowns again, but that offense outside of these solid running backs, I guess, were just terrible. He had 200
round draft pick.
Yeah, and he had 225 yards receiving too. So I mean, he was doing a little bit of everything. You know, almost 1,000 yards on the season. As a 5th round pick, that's great. That's great production that you see. I mean, in 2022, so he's been there a few years now. He signed a 4-year deal as a rookie, so he's a free agent after this next year. So at least they have him. I mean, I don't think he's a guy that could carry the load for them, but having a guy like him in place is great to have. He's your 3rd down back. He's your reliable guy at the very least. I think it'd be similar to something like Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, how they can kind of like trade off of each other. They kind of feed off of each other a little bit too, just like how you guys have to, you know. I think he could be a guy like that. He could be really good in something like that. I think it'd have to be a little bit more heavy where, you know, some the other running back maybe takes a little bit more of a prominent role, and he's still like the second guy. I think that's how those all end up anyway. So we'll see. I'm very curious.
So Detroit's the only odd one there, you know.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. At least, you know, you got Jerome Ford, and he's going to be there, and he's going to be at least a steady presence for the Browns. So it's not completely barren. You got that. You got Jerry Jeudy, traded for him before the season. He was a 1st-round draft pick in 2020. So, you know, he's still pretty young, only 5 years in the league. He led Cleveland in receiving yards. Yeah,
he had 1,229 yards. First time topping 1,000 yards, which is impressive to be on a bad team.
Yeah, with the receivers or the quarterbacks that he had, and I mean, you knew the ball was going to him. He was pretty much all they had, and he stepped it up. You know, Steve Smith, my boy, Agent 89, he called him out and called him a jag. You know, just a guy, and he came back and said, "You know what? I'm going to hit 1,200 yards with someone as quarterback. You know, 72.3 yards a game." 4 touchdowns. He signed a 3-year deal when he was traded for, so they got him for a couple years. He didn't grade out great in PFF, 37th out of 98, good for a 73.5 grade. But I mean, not bad though. There's so many receivers in the league now. Like, as long as you're kind of in that middling spot, you're not terrible. I mean, and again, he led the team, 1,200 yards. He's looking
on a bad team.
On a bad team.
On a bad team. He stepped up and did that on a bad team. Imagine what he would do on a good team.
Yeah. So, you know, hopefully Tommy Reese and the rest of the offense can turn it around a little bit, bring in Cam Ward or Shadur, or, you know, we'll see. We'll talk about that a little bit.
They got Jeudy for 3 years though, so I mean that's something for Cleveland to be happy about. I mean,
absolutely.
Him, so
Yeah.
I mean,
you bring in that receiver or you bring in that quarterback to complement Jerry Jeudy, and they'll be good. I think that you can do really good. And maybe you bring in someone else at receiver too, just to give them a little bit more firepower. But you also got David Njoku there. And so there's pieces in place. They need a quarterback. They need a little bit better offensive line. So, they got work to do, but there's glimmers of hope, and that's what you want to see as a team that is picking second overall. You want to see glimmers of hope, especially when it's very clear what side of the ball is the problem. It's very clear that offense is the side of the ball that's the problem for the Cleveland Browns, and so seeing these little glimmers of hope in the Cleveland Browns offense is amazing for them. I'm sure the fans can really point to that. Let us know if there's anything else on offense that we missed, if there's like a young up and coming guy that maybe we haven't heard of, that you think is going to really shine this next year for him. We're going to get into the defensive players of note here a little bit. We already talked about Myles Garrett again. He's just requested a trade. He was the first overall pick in 2017, 2023 Defensive Player of the Year. He was the first Cleveland player to win.
Yeah, he's I mean, Brent, we don't have to keep putting a dagger, back in their hearts for Cleveland. They have to keep caring about Myles Garrett. They're already losing him.
Yeah. So he requested a trade, though, and he signed a 5-year deal in 2020. So he only has 1 year left. So whoever gets him is going to either have to extend him, or maybe they just ride it out and see what happens. I'm sure he's going to want a contract extension, though. And I mean, he's worth it. We've been over it a million times. His PFF grade was 92.3, good for second. It's not surprising. It's unfortunate. We're sorry, Cleveland Browns fans. Yeah, it is what it is. Yep, we've all been there.
Keep your heads up.
Yeah,
a long game.
At least you still got Grant Ward, though. He's a great, or not Grant Ward. I'm sorry, Denzel Ward. Drafted 4th overall in 2020 or 2018. Led the team in interceptions with only 2, but he had 49 tackles too. He had 19 passes deflected, a forced fumble, and he recovered the fumble. His PFF grade was 68.4, good for 61st out of 225 or 223 qualified cornerbacks. So there was a lot of them. So 61st sounds bad, but pretty solid. Upper top part. Like he's a good cornerback. We know this, and maybe that's just because he wasn't thrown out a lot. And again, this defense just suffered because the offense sucked. He signed an extension to his rookie deal. And so he'll be a free agent after 27. So they got him for a while. Like Browns fans, you still got pieces. Denzel Ward is going to be good for you. He's going to solidify that corner spot for a few more years at least. And that's a great place to have. There's a lot of teams that don't have a solid corner spot that they can just count on.
Corners are hard to find. I mean, really.
Absolutely.
Corners are very hard to find. And I mean, the fact that they got one for a few more years is good.
100%. Yeah, and Grant Delpit is also going to be there in the secondary with him, drafted by Cleveland in 2020 in the 2nd round. He led the team in tackles as a safety. Pretty impressive. I always like to see when that happens. That means that he was doing his job. Safeties are in the back and they can kind of see where everything's going, and they're the last line of defense. And when your defense is playing with the offense that they're playing with, you're going to be the last line of defense in a short area. So 111 tackles, only had 1 sack, but again, he's a safety, so who cares? 7 tackles for a loss, 1 pass deflected, and 1 fumble recovered. Solid numbers all around. PFF grade 65.2. So yeah.
107. That's not bad at all. And then he signed an extension to the rookie contract in 2023 for 3 years. So what? He's got 1 more year then?
2026 he'll be a free agent.
Yeah, 2026. Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple years. So yeah, I mean, you have him and you have Ward together, so that secondary is solid. Your linebackers are solid. We already know your defense is the solid point of the team. Losing Myles Garrett again is gonna hurt.
But it's gonna help.
Yeah, it's gonna help. It's gonna get you guys better on offense. It's gonna get you guys better in other places. You're gonna turn him into a lot of positive things, hopefully.
Yeah, save you some money.
Yeah, save you a lot of money getting rid of him, and it's going to be an interesting offseason because you have decent players in place in certain spots, and at the same time, there's a lot that is needed on the offense. So with that, we're going to get into the free agents here. They're totally cap strapped, so it's not
there's not going to be a whole lot of free agents coming in. I'm just saying that right now. That's why I like trading Myles Garrett. Is going to give you more cap space. You're looking at the long game right now because you got to get rid of that contract from Deshaun Watson before you can really even build again. You know, right now you just need to dump everything. You're gonna be bad. It's gonna suck. Been there, okay. So I feel y'all, but yeah, I mean, that's what you essentially want to do. You want draft picks. Start bringing in draft picks, build through the drafts, and empty out all the players that are getting paid high money. I mean, so that way you.
Denzel Ward is one of those too. I've heard his name mentioned, so there's a possibility they get rid of him too, and just totally reset that defense. I mean, it wouldn't be a great move because Denzel Ward is a good player. He led the team in interceptions, like we said. He's pretty young still, drafted in 2018. So, it's not like he's older or anything, and he's been a good corner. So, I mean, I don't know, but there's just, he'll probably stay. I mean, but they just need help everywhere, and it's hard. Like these free agents that are available, like there's DJ Reed, who would be a great compliment to Denzel Ward, Tre'Davious Ward, same thing. Like that'd be a great compliment, but they're not going to be able to afford him. Even if you get rid of Myles Garrett, that's not going to totally turn your cap space around and give you enough money to go in and go after one of these major guys. You're still going to have to go and get the bottom round guys, like the second and third tier free agents.
Yeah, you can go get you some veterans though. Like you can go get you some solid veterans to help with your draft picks, and pay them minimum contracts. I mean, they're not going to be around long, but you can fill in some pieces there so you're not like a dumpster fire, but
yeah, I mean, there's options they can improve the offensive line a little bit with Tyron Smith. I mean, he's older, he's 34, so he probably wants to win a Super Bowl, but at the same time, he understands that he's old and he's probably not got a lot of years left. So maybe he wants to come in, you pay him a little bit, a little bit more than the minimum because he's a vet and he's older and a little injury prone, and be like, hey, you want to come in and protect our new rookie that we're going to bring in, protect his blind side, come in. And then Jeff Wilson Jr. is an option too. He's a running back, and him with Jerome Ford would be an interesting combination. I like Jeff Wilson when he was with the Niners. He's kind of just been languishing away with the Dolphins since they got Achane, and he'd be a good option. I think that he might sign for a smaller contract or something like that. A little prove it deal maybe. So, we'll see. It's going to be a real interesting to see what they actually go in the free agency pool, because it's just who are you going to get? I mean, you're not going to get any of the top receivers because T. Higgins is probably staying with the Bengals. Chris Godwin ain't coming there. I mean, he might probably stay with the Bengals or with the Bucks. Amari Cooper is a free agent, but he's going to stay with the Bills, I'm sure. Stephon Diggs is a free agent. He ain't going to want to come there. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent. Marquise Brown. There's guys out there, but it's you guys, they don't want to come. I mean, and you don't want Deontay Johnson. I don't know. There's not a lot of options for him. I mean, there's a couple running backs out there if you really want to take a swing at it. Aaron Jones is a free agent. I'm sure he stays in Minnesota, though. Najee Harris is a free agent. He's kind of an interesting one, but he's in the division. He ain't going there. J.K. Dobbins is probably going to stay with Harbaugh. You're just not going to find guys in free agency that you're going to get. You're just going to have to draft. And with having 6 or 5 6-round draft picks, you're going to have to trade those and move up a little bit because you don't want to just get a bunch of 6-round guys. Those guys aren't going to make the roster. They're not going to make the roster better. You might hit on one of them or something like that, but you're really going to have to build through there. Free agency is not where you want. The draft, I think, is definitely going to be more, and we're going to get into that. Again, we're not going to go over a bunch in the draft because it's so early on in the draft process. So far, we haven't even had the combine or anything, so we don't know what these players look like. So we're just going to kind of go over it really quick. We're going to get into what picks they have and see where they can improve. Again, starting off with their first pick, they have the 2nd overall pick. It's got to be quarterback. And what do you think, G? You think? I don't know, man. I
don't think you have to take a quarterback. I think you probably should. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think it'll probably be. I think you'll probably take a quarterback. I mean, somebody has to in the first 3. So, I feel like, the Titans might offer you to trade up do you go get Travis Hunter?
I think it's worth it. Who's going to throw in the ball? Is he going to be a cornerback for you instead? He's better as a receiver. I don't think that's. I think the easiest thing to do is you get a quarterback with the second overall pick, because they're going to be cost controlled for the next 5 years. So while you're navigating that Deshaun Watson dead cap hit that you're going to probably take eventually, you have a quarterback that's not going to cost you a lot of money for the next couple of years. And you have some small pieces there. You still have high draft picks in the second and the third round. There's a lot of places they can build on. Again, you're going to get more draft picks from the Myles Garrett trade, so you might have another first round pick. By the time you hear this, you might have another first round pick. And so I think, you just go quarterback. You get that out of the way. There's only 2 guys this year. We all know Shedeur and Cam Ward are the 2 guys. And
I'm a Shedeur guy.
I like them both. I agree. I think he's a little bit more ready. I think Cam has a little bit of a higher ceiling. He's also a little bit older, so that hurts a little bit. But people like that now. They like the fact that they've had a lot of college starts, because we've seen guys like Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy come in and really do good because of that. So we'll see. I think it's got to be quarterback either way. I think you just have to. I've heard rumors they might trade out of this pick, but I think with trading Myles Garrett, I don't think they trade out anymore. I think with trading Myles Garrett, they get a quarterback, they start this rebuild on offense, and they just keep trying to go forward. I think that's the right move. So it's going to be interesting.
It all depends on what their plan is, kind of with Deshaun Watson. Like, if they think that, okay, well, we're going to play him next year, maybe he'll have a healthy year, which he probably won't, but hey, if they're thinking that route, then yeah, trading back in the draft makes sense to me. Go ahead and get you another trade back, get you another first round pick for next year.
Yeah, and have 2 first round picks next year.
You know what I mean? And move back a little bit, and then you're just getting closer and closer to getting rid of Deshaun Watson and being able to make moves. So you start drafting some pieces around Deshaun Watson, even though I just don't like the idea of using him, but to play, because he's not going to play a full season. But if you think about it, you could do that and build pieces around. You get some receivers, you get some linemen, which would be a good idea if you're going to, in the next 2 years, you're going to draft a quarterback. Because I promise you you could have the first round pick next year, because you might be that bad. So now all of a sudden you got 3 first round draft picks next year. Hey, start loading the team up. Because you're not going to be good this year. So, a lot of teams, they draft the quarterback. They're not ready for the quarterback. The offensive line sucks. There's no weapons. They do terrible. That's not good for self-esteem. It's just not good for a player to go through that. And then they're getting sacked, the most out of anybody in the year. I don't know. I think trading back's not a bad. I think that's a good way to do it. You're not ready for a quarterback. You're not going to be a winning team.
Yeah.
There's going to be Archie Manning coming out eventually. And there's going to be some other quarterbacks too.
Yeah. There's always other quarterbacks, and I don't disagree with that. It might not be the worst idea, but at the same time, I think that they're just going to take that shot. I think that when you get the second overall pick, when you get the first and you get the second, I think that if you get the first or the second overall pick and you don't have a quarterback already, which isn't a very common occurrence, you always go quarterback, because you don't get very many shots at 1 and 2 to take that, unless you're the Jags, where they have the first pick in back-to-back years, and it happens for sure. But at the same time, you hope that drafting that person will make it so you don't need to draft him that high anymore. So I think you take that shot. I think they take that shot. We'll see. I don't know. I think a lot of that changes with what happens to Myles Garrett. I think that what happens to him and how much they get for him can really change a lot of that. What if they go for a crazy move and they trade Myles Garrett to Minnesota for JJ McCarthy?
I'm going to be
problem
really
solved.
No, dude, we can't talk about that here.
I know you don't like that.
I don't want.
I'm just saying, what if we have this crazy? I know, but what if it's just this crazy swap where they the Vikings go all in on Sam Darnold, sign him to the massive 5, 6 year, 7 year deal, whatever, and just say we're going with Sam, and then that would be the craziest thing, because JJ McCarthy looks great. That would be. Everybody gets what they want. The Vikings really improve that.
Yeah, and then they can use their second round pick. Go ahead and pull out, get Travis Hunter, or trade up to get Travis Hunter from Tennessee, because Tennessee may trade theirs anyway.
Yeah. This offseason's crazy. We talked about it in our NFL news episode, but this offseason's crazy.
I don't want to manifest that.
It could happen. It could happen though. It could happen.
But no,
But anyway, we got to continue with the draft here because that's just so many things that can go crazy with that first pick for the Browns. And I'm really curious to see
so
what
you're
happens.
thinking Cam Ward?
I think Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward. I think that he works a little bit better with his legs, which I think is going to be a great addition to the Browns. They need everything they can on offense. So adding someone that can add more yards, and Shedeur is athletic for the most part. Like he can run if he needs to, but he doesn't use it like Cam Ward. And I think I said the same thing for the Titans, but I think that's a big thing is when your offense is so bad, you get a guy that can add offense and add a spark any way they can. Yeah, exactly. If he can add, a first down a game or a first down every drive running because he can run 10 yards, that's huge. That's huge. That's already a big improvement. If you can get an extra first down every drive because this guy can run when things break down because your offensive line isn't good, you only have one receiver and your running back isn't amazing. Having a guy that can do that is great. And it also adds a wrinkle to the offense and makes the team have to account for that, which boosts the running back, which boosts the receiver, which boosts the tight end. So I think that an offense as bad as the Browns and as bad as the Titans, Cam Ward is a good pick. I think Shedeur is a great pick too, just because he's more pro-ready, but more pro-ready guys need more pro-ready offenses. Now, if they go out and maybe they do a surprise trade for Deebo Samuel after they trade Myles Garrett, they use maybe they get like an extra third or an extra second or something in that trade, and they go and they trade for him. Now all of a sudden you have Deebo Samuel and you have Jerry Jeudy, which is a solid combination, and you have Jerome Ford and you have Jeff Wilson, and then all of a sudden this offense actually has some weapons, and Cam Ward can really kind of complete that. I think that there's a lot of options they can go with, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this first pick. And then the second round, I think if they do go quarterback, you bring in, even depending on what you do in free agency, say they bring in Tyron Smith. Still go get Wyatt Millum as a guy that I like. I've seen him a lot. He projects as an interior lineman. And they need offensive line everywhere. Their offensive line's terrible. Their center's solid, but everything else outside him sucks.
Yeah, I mean, they can take I like that pick. I do. Anything on that offensive line I like.
Everybody needs offensive line. Every year we talk about every NFL team for the most part needing someone. At the very least, you need depth. And I mean, the Browns need starters. And I think this guy, he'll be the 33rd overall pick. So they have the first pick of the second round. So, you can get a really good piece there. I mean, and maybe there's a guy that falls and you guys trade out of that pick too. The Browns can really do a lot with these picks. They're in a lot of really good positions to do a lot of really good different things. It's going to be really interesting. But yeah, Wyatt Millum is a guy I like right there, right now. Third round pick. They have the third pick of that round. I think Isaiah Bond would be a really interesting pick there. The Texas receiver. He's a speedster. He's fast.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard of him. I think even if you go get Deebo, you bring him in and he's taking the top off. He's that guy. He's JMO. He's going to take the top off. I mean, I'm not saying he's the exact same guy because JMO really came on to his stuff this year for the Lions, but he's that kind of player. He's super fast. He's a little less polished because he's a third round pick, potentially. I've seen him, he could go in the second too. There's an option for that too, but I'm having him go in the third round here.
I like Jahadae Barron. I don't know that he's going to make it.
Yeah.
But if he does make it in the second round, it's probably going to be, they'll be able to he'd be around then.
Okay.
I like him though, and he's a good ad. I mean, he's a big body. He's got a 2024. His overall grade was a 90.8. He's a cornerback out of Texas.
Okay. Nice.
He's a good cover guy. Good cover guy. Run defense is pretty good. He had 5 interceptions on the year.
Yes.
So I mean, he's targets 67, yards allowed with 279. And only 36 receptions. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, seems pretty solid.
And they could use that help too.
Yeah, I mean, as good as the defense is, you definitely need to improve that too. And they have a second pick in the third round. They have the 30th pick in the third round, or as of now, it's the 30th pick. And again, I went offense. If they don't go get Jeff Wilson or someone else in free agency, which again is likely because they don't have any cap space, Devin Neal, good running back, I think would be a good option there. He's more shifty, catches the ball well though, so I think that he would, again, adding offense anywhere you can add offense, especially if you go Cam Ward in the first round. If you go Cam Ward in the first round, this is how you rebuild that offense in one draft real quick. I mean, you go Cam Ward in the first round, you get Wyatt Millum to be his left guard who protects and solidifies that left side of the line with probably a veteran left tackle. Then the third round pick, you get your speedster guy that's going to take over the top, and he's going to take off the top. He's going to pair with David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy, and potentially, if they go get a Deebo Samuel kind of player or something like that. And then you just finished off with Devin Neal, who gives you potential to get yardage out of the backfield and catch the ball, which is, again, it's just adding to that offense, giving more options, giving the potential to do a lot of things. All of these guys do things that can help the offense overall. And I think that'd be a great way to go about it. This offense is bad. Let's rebuild it. Let's rebuild this in one draft, and the Browns can be a lot better really quick.
I agree with most of that, Brent, but I mean, I do think you take best available player. I think you're in that situation, you're rebuilding, so best player available, offense, defense, it doesn't matter.
For sure. I wouldn't be mad at all if they went defense with any of these other picks. I think that they have to go quarterback with that first one, but you need to replace Myles Garrett, so if there's a D end, maybe they have another pick in the first round, there's a D end that's a little bit later on, go and snag him real quick. And
there's a lot of good D ends in this draft.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it drops off after the first couple of them. You got like Michael Smith, you got Abdul Carter. Those guys are going to be gone. And after the first, maybe they pick them in number 2 to replace Myles Garrett right away.
What's that guy from Ohio State? Jack Sawyer?
I think Jack Sawyer, yeah.
Yeah, he's like a good DN that could fall further back. He'd be a good one.
Yeah.
He'd be potentially there. He'd be there for probably round 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot of places they could go. There's a lot of things they could do. I'm very curious to see which way the Cleveland Browns go with a lot of these offseason picks. There's just a lot of ways you guys can go. Let us know in our comments on any of our social media or anything where you guys think that you should go in the draft and free agency. Anything we might have missed, anything like that. Let us know what you think. Who do you want to draft number 2? Do you want to trade out? Do you want to go a quarterback? Do you want to go Abdul Carter and just instantly replace Myles Garrett?
I mean, it's wide open for y'all. I mean, y'all aren't. I mean, y'all are in a bad position, but you're not.
Yeah,
you're right where we were this bad too, and then we rebuilt. You get it. If you get the right pieces, I mean, you can be right back in the. Give it 3 years, you'll be right back there. Might take a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if and again, you have a great head coach who's really been a steadying presence for this franchise, and that's a huge part of it. Like the Browns have been so bad for so long, and you guys finally have a good coach that's like there to like guide this ship, and he's going to try and do everything he can. I'm really confident in that, and. It's gonna be a crazy offseason. You guys are trading away a great player. When we just did that last year, we didn't get near what you guys are gonna get for Myles. Brian Burns isn't as good as Myles Garrett, not even close. So this offseason is gonna be crazy. You guys can really rebuild pretty quickly. You guys can put together a competitive squad in one offseason. And I think that honestly, get your cap space right after you trade Myles Garrett, which is gonna be hard. But do that and then just cut Deshaun. Just get rid of him. Just say bye. Designate June 1st, whatever you have to do anything you can to spread out his dead cap hit, because he's just cancer to this team. As soon as you got rid of him, like Jameis lit it up and looked good and was having fun, and that team played harder. They don't seem to like him. That's going to kind of go into our very last spot is going to be our ass back.
What? Hold on. You got to at least keep Deshaun Watson as like your water boy. He's got to do something during that contract. I'm telling you. I don't care if he's sitting on a practice squad. I'm making that son of a bitch run. He has ruined the franchise.
I totally agree.
So, that's what I would do. But anyways, all right, Brett, go back to the ass backs.
Nah, I mean, the ass back's Deshaun. We already knew who this was going to be. I mean, if you didn't hear us throughout this whole episode, he's the ass back. He needs to get your ass back to the bench, Deshaun, and then stay your ass there, because you're bad. You're injury prone. You're bad. You just
get your ass
you
back
fucked this team over.
Parlors, God damn it.
Yeah, dude, just just retire. Just save them the pain, the hassle of cutting you, and just say, you know what, I had a good couple years in the NFL. I made a shit ton of money. They're gonna pay me for the next few years. I'm just gonna go and sit on my couch and make this money, because you're probably gonna sit on your couch anyway. Let's be real here. Yeah. You're gonna be injured this whole next year. You could be a legit
person, and maybe you should give that money back.
Nah, he ain't gonna do that.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you were a decent person, you probably would be like, look, man, I didn't deserve all the money that you paid me. I'm sorry. I'm good to go for life, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do right by this franchise, and here you go. You ain't gotta pay me. We're good.
Yeah.
That would be
I mean,
good,
the only reason he's on the contract on the roster still is his insane contract. We all know this.
Yeah.
Any other player that was playing as bad as him would be cut. I mean, Daniel Jones got cut mid-season, and he signed a big contract too, but his wasn't fully guaranteed. They took a huge cap hit on that. He's gone. Yeah. So get your ass back. My good ass back is to bring Nick Chubb back. Get your ass back to the team. He's a Cleveland hero. 5.5 yards a carry every year of his career. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Maybe he signs for a small deal, but they love him in Cleveland, I'm sure. You hate to see a player of his caliber go down, and get your ass back, Nick. We want to see you back, dude. I want to see you back in the Browns. I won't be mad at you if you go somewhere else, and I'm sure these other fans won't either. But
he wants you on the Panthers too,
I wouldn't be mad at it, man. But at the same time, ain't nobody gonna be mad at you if you stay. I think you're in a situation where you can go wherever you want, Nick Chubb. So more power to you, man. It's going to be interesting off season for you. I'm curious to see what you do. I wish you all the best. I hope you're healthy. You're probably not going to see this, but we're going to put it out there in the universe. Hopefully he sees it. That'd be cool. Nick, we hope you do good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing but love for him. So I hope he does good too. Wherever he goes or if he stays.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back from an injury like that, we all like to see it no matter what. So Nick Chubb, get your ass back in the NFL and on a field, no matter where you end up. We all wish you the best. So thanks everybody for listening to our episode here on the Cleveland Browns. Again, this is part of our series of breaking down all 32 teams. We're going to continue to go on through this. So next week we need to get your ass back for the Giants. We're going to do our same breakdown there. We're going to try and drop another episode midway through the week on just some updates after the Super Bowl, go over the game, see how that all went, give you guys our take. And again, follow us on social media. Yeah, we'll have good news and rumors, see what happens, see if there's any movement on Kellen Moore to the Eagles, see if there's any movement on any of these player trades. I don't think anything can really happen yet. I think they have to wait until the offseason is official, so we'll see. But we'll have more for you guys there.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, if Travis Kelce retires, if they get the three-peat. So tune back in.
Oh, yeah.
Check us out.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, we're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Come follow us. Leave us a comment. Tell us about your favorite team if you're not here for just the Browns, if you're here for everything. And thanks again, guys. We'll see you soon. Commish out of here.
Have a good one. Get your ass back.
Get your ass back.